Hey guys, so as you can tell, I'm taping on my webcam because the quality is different. But the lighting in my house is really, really bad. It's kind of like yellow. You can kind of see that I have to hold the paper up. So I have like yellow lighting. Let's ignore this crazy hair. But this is the remnants of my Halloween costume of sorts. If you're interested in seeing what I went as, I'll put a link to my Instagram so you can check it out, and I have pictures on there. Anyways, so this week's video is going to be an iREC. It's going to be me recommending some historical fiction books, and I've promised you guys this for like the last 2 weeks. I'm sorry for the late upload. Yeah. Okay, so the first book I want to recommend to you guys is a book called Annette, Vallon, and it is written by James Tipton. I read this book last year, and it ended up joining my list of like top favorite books. And so right now it's currently my second favorite book of all time, right after Pride and Prejudice, because I loved it so much. So the book deals with this woman called Annette Vallon. She's living in France, and she's very well off. She knows what she wants out of life, and things start changing. Her perspective starts changing when she meets this guy, William, who is visiting in France, just kind of vacationing sort of thing. He doesn't really know what he's doing. They meet and they end up falling for each other. And as that story starts unfolding, it's also taking place during like the French Revolution. So things around them start changing, and it ends up affecting their relationship because William has to go back to England at some point. And Annette is left in France to deal with, uprisings happening in her country, and the government changing, and her financial situation changing, and her family and things like that. And then she also ends up having a baby, which can kind of complicate things. And so she's pining after a guy that is across the sea, not across the sea, it's across the ocean, and they're not able to be together. And years pass before he actually ends up coming to visit her. So it's more than a love story. It takes place during an actual time in history, during the French Revolution, so it does have historical elements to it. And it does deal with real people because the guy William, his name is William Wordsworth, and he's a well-known English poet. And he did have a relationship with a woman named Annette Vallon, and they had a child together. But from what I gathered is that there isn't that much information about their relationship, so that's where the fiction part goes into the book. But it's a really good book. I loved the main character. I loved Annette. I loved hearing just her thoughts and just seeing how she deals with things. It's my favorite. I've talked about this book before, I think. So I would suggest to give it a try if you're a Pride and Prejudice fan like I am, or you just like reading about, a perspective of, you like reading books from the perspective of a woman and seeing how she deals with like hardships and stuff, then I would say get this book. Okay, so the next book that I want to recommend to you guys is called The Red Queen by Philippa Gregory, and it's part of the Cousins War series. Which has to do with cousins, obviously, and war. And all the books have to do with actual historical characters throughout history, historic people. I shouldn't even say characters. So this particular story deals with Margaret Beaufort, who's the mother of King Henry VIII, I think. And it's just mainly her story of her life before she has him and then after she has him, and all the things that she has to do because she promises to get him on the throne of England, because he is not able to rule at some point because it shifts over to another house. And she's also interrelated with the White Queen. If you've ever seen the show, there was a show that they had, the White Queen. And the author Philippa Gregory, right, has written also the Other Boleyn Girls. She does a lot of like Tudors and King Henry and just a lot of those kind of books. Yeah. So I actually, to be honest, when I first read the book, I didn't really like her as a character. I guess I couldn't relate to her. And so I stopped reading it, put it down, and then revisit it back a couple months later, maybe like a month or two later. I picked it up again and read it. And I actually enjoyed it. And I'm happy that I read it again because it was interesting just to see from her perspective what she would do as a mother, as a woman, especially during her time to fulfill a promise that she feels is important when it comes to her son getting what's due to him since he's heir to the throne. And just reading the book is just, you see all these injustices happening, and of course, obviously, because she's the main character, you are supposed to feel supportive of her. I when I started off the book, I did feel like she was a bit fanatical because she was raised religious, and young Margaret was very, very religious, to where she didn't want to get married and wanted to give her life to the church, and she's actually forced early on to get married to someone who's much older than her, which she does because she has no choice because of the time and her gender and all that stuff. She had to do that. And the fact that she was forced to do something and she still managed to make her way out of an unpleasant situation, I should say, managed to move past that and find another calling, I guess, in life, even though she never really fully left the religious part of her, but she couldn't obviously go into the church because of the family she was born into. So I think if you're into books that deal with the main character that is going through things, that has to overcome something, I would suggest to read this book. If you're into, a lot of history books that deal with the Tudors and King Henry and just all that stuff, then I would also recommend this book. So the last book that I want to recommend to you guys is The Historian, which I've mentioned in a recent video and I've mentioned before. And I've even done a review on it. It's a book that I really, really, really like and enjoy. So The Historian is written by Elizabeth Kostova, and it's written by Elizabeth Kostova, and it has to do with Vlad the Impaler, who was the prince in, Hungary? Wallachia, I don't know how to say the name. Because the thing is that this book, unlike the other two books, is mixed in with like vampires and, the supernatural. So it might not be for someone who is interested maybe in just history dense books, but I think that you would still enjoy it because there is a lot of history, you could tell that Elizabeth Kostova researched a lot of the information. You get to hear a lot of historical data about Vlad the Impaler, things that I didn't know about the Janissaries and things like that. And because the characters in the book do a lot of traveling, you get to see different parts of the world, I guess. Like you get to see Istanbul, you go to Romania, France. So they give you sometimes, Elizabeth sometimes throws in like historical facts about the area that they're in, I find that really interesting. I find, traveling is one of my passions. So reading the book and seeing all these places through her perspective and her giving you kind of background information about it was very interesting. And of course, learning about Vlad the Impaler, who is the person that inspired the legend of Dracula. So, if you are interested in Dracula, or if you're interested in history to do with like the Middle East, like Turkey or anything like Turkey, Romania, Hungary, things like that, I would recommend this book. Since I have a review already on the book, I don't want to go too in depth with it. I'll link it below so you can check it out. And yeah, that's it. Alright, so those are all the books that I'm going to recommend to you guys. I know it's only 3, but I just haven't really read that many historical fiction books, which I need to do. I need to fix that. I need to read more. But I picked the 3 that I really enjoyed reading and I really like, and I wanted to share with you guys. And I've mentioned some of the books already before in the past, and I know I have a review on The Historian, which I'll link below if you're interested in watching that. Yeah, but I haven't really talked that much about the other 2, which is why I'm including it. Anyways, I will hopefully be back to taping on my camera, which is right here, next week. And you can find all the relevant links below. If you want to check out my Halloween outfit. Well, I don't really take pictures of my outfit, but I take pictures of like my face and stuff. Then you can check out like my Instagram, and I will also probably do a post really quick on Tumblr if you're interested, and I'll link that below as well. Yeah, so I'll see you guys next week for a new video. Happy late Halloween. Hopefully everybody had a good day. And what else? Oh yeah, NaNoWriMo started, which is fun. I have to get started on writing right after this. So see you guys next week. Bye.